All right. Okay, that's wow, that's a lot of attendees in the waiting list. Right. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes and get started. Sorry. Okay, welcome everyone for this wonderful session. So we are going to present a webinar on why an intelligent PXM is essential for omnichannel evolution. Myself, Narendra Kumar, I'm the co-founder for PIMworks. PIMworks is a SaaS platform that helps brands, distributors, and retailers across the globe in scaling up their businesses on their omnichannel and e-commerce journeys. I come from more than 10 years of experience in e-commerce and more than 18 years experience in IT and IT-enabled services globally. Now let's get started. We all know the pandemic has hit us hard a few years ago, and it has also given a lot of shift in the way businesses happen throughout the globe. Interestingly, in the next 4 years, e-commerce alone is going to scale up to over $10 trillion globally, and about 8.9 trillion comes from the B2C side of businesses. And in fact, B2B e-commerce is growing faster than the B2C e-commerce in the last 3 years. And it's looking to hit more than $2.5 trillion in the next 4 years. What it also means is there are more than 10 million enterprises, both in B2B and B2C, who are looking to come onto e-commerce as their de facto business model. Over the last 2 to 3 years, there has been radical shift in the way the e-commerce or purchases are being made on the omni-channel. We are seeing a lot of more digital-only purchases in certain categories like apparel and furniture. More than 5x expansion has been done in the last 2 years for digital-only purchases. And as we are coming after the pandemic effect, we are also seeing new business models that are evolving, and some of the business models like click and collect, adoption of click and collect is becoming more and more popular. A lot of smaller brands and retail chains are also adopting to click and collect, where you make a purchase online, you go and collect the product in a nearby warehouse or a location. This also affected the technology spectrum on all these businesses, where traditionally the brick and mortar stores who were reliant on their internal infrastructure are moving towards cloud, especially to manage the omni-channel commerce. The other end, on the last mile supply chain, we are seeing a lot more democratization, where there are millions and millions of delivery partners and smaller delivery organizations or logistics organizations, supply chain organizations coming up, and a sustainable supply chain is becoming very popular as well. What this means for all the businesses who are looking to grow on their omni-channel are twofold. One is how they organize their data. Data is the essential fuel for managing omnichannel effectively. Now, on the internal side, organizing the data in one place and making sure that gets distributed across all the channels is essential. On the other side, as we are seeing these shifts in technology and operations, there are also need for personalization and growth focus than just the data focus. The evolution across the ecosystem is also being seen in the existing sort of practices where we see distributor space or distributors are adopting to new technologies, trying to get into new business models that liberates or connects the entire ecosystem better. And brick and mortar stores post pandemic, we are seeing brands, larger brands and larger retailers are trying to fragment their brick and mortar chain, getting into more new franchisee models, expanding with new smaller stores than trying to have bigger clusters of retail stores in every city. We're
Narendra,
also
just quick thing.
seeing.
So we
Yes.
we are seeing the first slide. Maybe can you recheck that?
Is it coming up now?
We still see the introduction slide.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you see it now? Give me 1 second.
Seems like you're past the screen.
It should be showing up the presentation now. Are you able to see that?
No, Naren. So we only see the webcam.
Not yet? Okay, 1 second.
Your pause is sharing, Naren. Please unpause it.
I'm trying to, but it's not giving me that option. Okay, are you able to see the screen now?
Good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Govind. I was talking about the post-pandemic shift. This was what I was talking about in terms of e-commerce taking the center stage, and there is like more than $10 trillion that's going to go through e-commerce in the next few years. And the areas that people are looking in having more digital-only purchases, click and collect, and so on. Now, looking at the omni-channel evolution, what has happened on these areas, distributors, we we see new business models coming up, brick and mortar stores, larger retailers are looking to get the clusters removed and have more smaller stores and have satellite type warehouses that helps in better reach. And we're also seeing newer types of e-commerce journeys on the e-commerce websites. People are getting into gamified approaches, personalized look and feels, and so on. And even marketplaces are changing their game in terms of newer marketplaces coming up. In the last 3-4 years, we've seen more than 200 B2C marketplaces that have evolved in the last 2 to 3 years, and a lot of retailers are changing themselves. Larger retailers are changing themselves into a marketplace, allowing the brands and other vendors to be uh, handling uh, the supply chain part of it, the order fulfillment part of it as well. Aggregators, again, this is a space that had been popular some 15 years ago. Now it's again becoming popular, where the aggregator sites bring in data from multiple retail sites and they get referrals, and they are good in popularizing or distributing the content to different channels and audience. Mobile commerce, as we know, has a lot of us as casual users have started using mobile for general e-commerce or purchasing anything, right from grocery to equipments and uh, any furniture as well. Now, having these areas that was in the omnichannel ecosystem that is seeing some changes, we are also seeing on the other side there are some new areas that's been evolving as well. Especially, we are seeing a lot more B2B marketplaces that are coming into existence, and B2B2C e-commerce, where we know this popular Alibaba, who's been dominating the B2B2C globally. But that dynamics is changing, where a lot of larger distributors are changing themselves into a B2B2C e-commerce, and newer marketplaces are also coming up in that space. On the other hand, new age technology, social commerce has rapidly changed the game in the last 3 to 4 years, where we see fundamental shift in uh, newer sellers and retailers coming onto social media, and online purchases for brands are being influenced by the social media commerce. We see people like Instagram, Facebook, they are branching out and providing plugins for having catalogs that helps in growing the small businesses. On the other hand, we are also seeing AR and VR taking a newer shape as well. Even though it's been technology that was evolving over 30 years, in the last 5 to 6 years, AR and VR has taken a phenomenal increase in adoption, especially in categories like apparel, furniture. But in recent years, we are also seeing AR, VR taking popularity in other categories, softline categories, and hardline categories as well. A new generation of experience for the users are into the haptic feedback, where I've seen proof of concepts where you can wear a slick a glove and use an app to touch and feel products on the digital shelf, as you would feel a physical product in presence. Now, what does it mean for all of us here who are into, uh, retail and brand space and omnichannel space? Interestingly, when we are having conversations with even larger brands and retailers and distributors, we find that the data, internal data, are split across multiple systems. There are silos in the data per se, and as we were looking at newer dimensions in terms of the e-commerce, the readiness to adopting to these channel dynamics, that is becoming a big challenge. And the content per se, each of the channel today, the retailers demand more and more uh, customized content for their channel. Now the distribution of the content is very fragmented and manual process, causing a lot of time delays on taking the products live onto all these different channels. This also is affected on not just online e-commerce, but also on the offline channels as well, because of the disparity and data silos. Adopting to these newer models or newer business models and newer age technology, this adoption is becoming challenging. On the other side, we are also seeing changes in user behavior. 5 or 6 years ago, where we saw a lot of adoption in mobile technology, the 4G evolution, and we are into 5G today. That has changed the game in e-commerce, especially mobile first e-commerce has been a strategy for a lot of brands. Technology leaders are looking at mobile first as their key channel for e-commerce, and the game is also shifting towards e-commerce from the traditional brick and mortar, which also means that today, post-pandemic, people want to have a unified experience on the omnichannel. For example, if someone wants to purchase a laptop, they would want to view the specifications of the laptop online, and they would also want to have experience in store nearby, and that experience has to be coherent. That is also something brands needs to focus on, looking at how an integrated omnichannel experience can be provided. And the buying decisions today are predominantly influenced by user generated content, user reviews, and today we see a lot of video reviews becoming popular in all the major platforms. And we are also seeing social media influencers who are endorsing products, and we see a lot of vlogs and YouTubers and Instagram influencers talking about products, product reviews, which are influencing the buying decisions. Now the expectations for these users, now we are seeing new generation of users as well coming up. In the next today and in the next 5 to 10 years, the majority of the purchasing power is going to be with the Generation Z, or the 2K kids as we call them, which means their expectation being having adopted to all these social media, they are looking to have more simplified and interactive content, where they want to they like to have more personalized content than just having a standard catalog. And the journey for purchase as well, now we are seeing in a lot of these food apps and other customer service applications, where a conversational commerce is happening, where you use voice commands and have an interaction with a machine or an application to make your buying decisions and connect your downstream activities through that conversational journey. We are also seeing some newer approaches where customer support is being provided, more gamification happening as well. Now, what it means for in terms of challenges at a high level, We look at 4 key areas that these challenges need to be addressed. Today, the data are in multiple systems, which if you look at each of those systems, they might help you in addressing one specific problem. An ERP will help managing the data, connecting multiple departments in one place. However, if you are looking at the catalog content, it could be the digital assets could be placed in some shared drives. The marketing content, the product content for a specific channel could be in different spreadsheets, and people are still using other custom built legacy applications internally for churning out some integrations and churning out certain catalogs for distributors and so on. Digital assets as well. We are in an age of AI-generated content creation. Now, having digital assets for omnichannel, today brands and distributors do not have the luxury to have one set of raw images that can serve the entire population. Images has to be segmented and processed for each and every channel based on their guidelines, and video safety sheets are also being spread in different systems. On the other end, for marketers, merchandisers, how do they optimize their growth on this omni-channel? How do they collect market signals? We don't have proper systems where these market signals can be collected. What is the competition doing in terms of assortment? What is your assortment gap against the competition? How are user feedbacks collected and that are being used appropriately for feeding back to the journeys of each of these channels, as well as the support queries? How are these support queries handled across channels in a unified way? The other end of the spectrum is the content generation. This is been a huge barrier in terms of how the rich descriptions and enhanced business content. We are seeing more and more newer marketplaces trying to provide these enhanced business content, as we've seen in popular Amazon and Walmart. We are now seeing that in a lot of new marketplaces as well, where you have the capability to create more than the standard structured data, and SEO part of it into the content, where optimizing the product titles and having the appropriate keyword tags across the content is also a challenging exercise for marketers. Now, how can we address these challenges, right? Traditionally, a product information management system, a PIM, would help in organizing product master data, right? And having rich content that are structured around that, as well as having a DAM system integrated, or you would have a DAM module that helps in organizing the digital assets, right? Beyond that, some of the PIMs will also give you capabilities in terms of transforming the data for different channels and marketplaces, providing syndication support through integrations. That internal focused approach has been primarily product information management systems core capability out there. And we see that a lot of businesses out of that, over 10 million businesses, are still on early stages of adopting a PIM. But now the world has gone beyond, and we need to catch up with the speed in which the end users' expectations are, where contextualization of data, how do you customize information for each of those channels, especially in e-commerce, and how do you get what is happening on the digital shelf, what are the competitors doing out there? How is your sales performance on each of those channels? Do you have a unified view of that? Those are the key questions that leaders in the omnichannel space need to think about on looking at how do we personalize to help better user experience. The evolution of that is also providing a growth focus, right? How do we look at the transactional data and market data, as well as the user reviews, user generated content, and obtain intelligence out of that? So these are areas that are beyond the traditional product information management implementation that has to be considered for looking into the e-commerce growth. Now, what is product experience management? Where we looked at some of these key elements on the external focus than just internal focus of the data. So that is where product experience management is looking at providing unique experiences and bringing the expansion onto all these different channels. Now, there are three parts to that. On one side, looking at the data organization part. The second is how do we optimize the content for different channels, personalize that. But ultimately, the business is focused on growth. How does a growth-focused product experience management help you, with technology? Now, that is where artificial intelligence and machine learning comes into place, where it becomes essential for service providers to make sure that the system, the platforms are growth focused in providing intelligence that helps in growth for the business and for improving the end customers' user experiences. Some of the use cases that we have been working on different areas is one is AIML based content content creation and enrichment. And we have seen some of our peers in the PXM space have been exploring this technology as well, where based on the product master data, creating rich content using AI, automated translations. We have built our engine which can translate into 18 languages globally. And we've also built a model which can look at an image and then provide data enrichment and provide rich content based on the image and master data. That makes the life of marketers easier in terms of optimizing or fine-tuning the messaging than just looking at understanding the product and starting things from scratch. We also have built models that can extract information from unstructured data if it is on a blob of text, especially for retailers to extract data from blogs and product reviews and use that for catalog content creation. So that is also becoming popular. On the other side, we are also looking at AI-based channel expansion engine. Now, PIMworks as such, we have more than 300 channels that we can integrate into, and we see a lot of providers looking to integrate more and more channels and specific partners looking focused on having connectors for different e-commerce channels. Now, for the brands and distributors and even retailers, adopting or enabling those changes automatically. For example, for a brand in a certain category, we are building a model that can look into the assortment, look at the category, and automatically provide content transformation, data transformation for different channels, whereby they can instantly expand their businesses into new channels, thereby giving more growth potential. Historically, we have also collected millions and millions of data from different categories in terms of price variations and historic price changes. Based on it, we have built a machine learning model which can look at an existing data set and provide predictive pricing based on seasonal patterns and historic price changes, not just from internal data, but also from competitors and market data as well. We also have a ML-based service that can provide reputation management, whereby we can both collect user reviews from different sites and channels and provide segmentation and feature extraction from those, saying why certain reviews are being bad and certain reviews are being good. We've seen use cases where a particular brand having the same product on two different regions, having the same description on both these content. On one region, they've seen a phenomenal drop in business. The reason being that the description was talking about a different local segmented audience, right? Now we are also bringing in this closed loop mechanism where all these information gets into one platform, providing power for omnichannel users and digital managers to have a unified view, understand the insights, and grow their business based on intelligence and automation. Broadly, what we see is as growth areas in intelligence is, of course, AI and ML being part or being a fundamental part of the technology stack. And we are also seeing popularity on the user-generated content that is helping the omnichannel fine-tuning or omnichannel experience. The next generation is focused on persona-based content. Just standard content across channels is no longer enough for catching up with the speed in which the market is evolving, and more predictive analytics is required than post-mortem for making sure you're ahead of the game. Now, there are a lot of providers in the market who provide product experience management systems, including people who's been there for a long time, like Salsify, PIMcore, Akinio, and we also see platforms who are focused on mid-market is also looking to provide PXM capabilities like Jasper, SalesLayers of the world. About PIMworks, we built PIMworks ground up 4 years ago, looking at product experience management as the core of it. And we've been growing fast in the last couple of years. And we're also recognized by global leaders, including Gartners of the world, and we've won several awards. And we are in the spectrum of with a vision to help organizations to grow their omni-channel rapidly. That is it from the webinar presentation. Now we can take some questions. Let me quickly check the chat window for the questions. Okay, there is one question here which says, how complex is it to implement PXM versus product information management system? In terms of more than the complexity, I think the priority of how we are looking at your business objective. Now, product experience management platforms are focused on the digital channels and trying to bring more intelligence from the digital shelf. Of course, product information management is core part of it, but in terms of complexity, it is not complex if you have clarity in terms of objectives, and it depends on which type of provider you're choosing and their capabilities. Okay. Okay, there is another question. What does omnichannel evolution mean? If we look at historically, some 30 years ago, e-commerce wasn't there in existence, and brands, even today, bigger brands in CPG and more traditional type categories are reliant on a single channel, and the end it kind of it's a trickle down effect. But in the last 10 years, the game has changed, where everyone in the ecosystem, from brands to retailers and distributors, are looking to address audience in multiple channels. Now, that has been changing with all these factors that we discussed today, in terms of the mobile evolution, where people, all these key stakeholders in the ecosystem are looking to tap into each and every channel, both online and offline, and looking at mobile commerce, website commerce, brick and mortar, and how the end user's perception and user behavior are changing. So that that change in the user behavior is forcing the stakeholders to evolve into newer dimensions. Okay, there's another question. Who is commonly the owner of a PIM project in a company? That's an interesting question. It largely varies depending on the business. However, we see that the success of a PIM implementation depends on the executive buy-in. The top of the organization, if they understand the importance of having a unified place for managing the content across different channels, having collaborative platform to connect to different external channels and internal channels, if there is a buy-in there, then we see that the implementation becomes successful. And typically, the ownership could be with the head of digital, or the marketing teams. In certain cases, we see specific functions looking at the product catalog, the product management teams. It varies on business to business. Okay, another question. We can probably take another couple of questions. How can we use this PIMworks with multiple channels in different countries? So PIMworks, we built PIMworks with our experience for over 20 years. So our parent organization is Mobius, and we've been servicing customers globally on their catalog creation and vendor onboarding, all those journeys. And based on that, we built a platform where, in fact, most of our customers are doing cross-border sales, meaning they cater to multiple territories and multiple countries. So we have built-in connectors for any e-commerce channel and any e-commerce marketplace. and we also provide like kind of black box integration. Even a new channel can be easily integrated for connecting to different countries. Okay, is PXM needed for offline businesses? That's another question that's come up. Of course, product experience management is essential for any type of business. And today we are seeing there is the lines are kind of getting smudged. The online and offline, the separation is kind of being unified. So if you are looking at the focusing on the end customer, from the end customer, they are perceiving you as one brand, and be it offline or be it online, the managing how the end user perceives your products, that's where the product experience management is critical for this evolving journey from the user behavior. So I think that we can wrap up this session, being conscious of the time. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do feel free to drop in your comments, and you can also send any additional questions or any clarifications to the email mentioned here, info@pimworks.io, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you everyone, and you all have a wonderful day ahead.